First, contact shock. The vastness of space stretched before High Commander Varric as he stood on the bridge of the Zolaran Empire's flagship, the Eternal Dawn. For centuries, the Zolarans had ruled this sector of the galaxy unchallenged, their superior technology and strategic brilliance crushing any who dared oppose them. Lesser species cowered at the mere mention of their name, and their borders remained secure under the watchful eye of the largest fleet in known space. Varric's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of contentment among his kind. Today marked his 500th cycle as High Commander, and the Empire had never been stronger. Their recent subjugation of the Krillian mining colonies had further secured their energy reserves for the next millennium. High Commander called Lieutenant Nexus, her voice cutting through Varric's thoughts. Our long-range sensors have detected an unidentified vessel approaching the Orion border. Varric turned, his scaled skin reflecting the blue glow of the bridge's lighting. Another trader seeking permission to cross. Direct them to Outpost 7 for standard inspection. No, sir, Nexus replied, her lower jaw tightening, a Zolaran expression of concern. It's a warship, design unknown. The bridge fell silent. An unknown warship approaching Zolaran space was unprecedented. For the past 3 centuries, they had cataloged every military vessel of every spacefaring species. Show me, Varric ordered, his voice betraying none of the unease spreading through his chest. The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a sleek vessel with a design unlike anything in their records. It was smaller than Zolaran warships, but possessed an elegant efficiency in its construction. The hull was dark, absorbing rather than reflecting light, with subtle blue energy signatures pulsing along its sides. Magnify, Varric commanded. The image enlarge, revealing more details of the mysterious craft. Run a comparison analysis against all known designs. The ship's computer hummed briefly before displaying its results. No match found in primary database. Scanning secondary and historical archives. Seconds later, a single entry appeared on screen, accompanied by an image that appeared to be centuries old. Varric's outer eyes widened as he read the classification. Human, he said, disbelief evident in his tone. That's impossible. The Empire had encountered humans nearly 2 centuries ago, a primitive species barely capable of reaching their own moon. They had been deemed insignificant, a curiosity at best, and their planet marked for potential resource harvesting in another few hundred years when they might have developed something worth taking. Confirm identification, Varric ordered, certain there must be some mistake. Lieutenant Nexus worked her console rapidly. Verification complete, High Commander. The energy signature matches human patterns, though significantly advanced from our last records. The vessel appears to be armed. A ripple of shocked murmurs spread across the bridge. An armed human vessel was like discovering a primitive tribe suddenly wielding plasma cannons. It defied all logic. How did they advance so quickly? Wondered the tactical officer. Our intelligence suggested they would need at least another century to develop basic interstellar capability. Varric straightened his posture, towering over his crew. It seems our intelligence was flawed. Open a communication channel. Channel open. Sir. Varric cleared his throat, activating the universal translator. Attention, unknown vessel. You are approaching the sovereign territory of the Zolaran Empire. Identify yourself and state your purpose immediately, or face immediate destruction. The standard greeting for unannounced visitors was deliberately intimidating. Most species responded with immediate apologies and requests for mercy. The screen remained blank for several moments before flickering to life. A human appeared on screen. Female, Varric recalled from their biological records. She had dark skin, closely cropped hair, and eyes that showed no trace of fear. She wore a uniform of deep blue with silver insignia that Varric didn't recognize. This is Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth vessel Horizon. She replied in perfect galactic standard, another surprise. We are aware of our position relative to your borders, High Commander. Varric's membrane twitched. She had addressed him by his rank without introduction. Somehow, they knew who they were speaking to. Then you are also aware that your presence here could be considered an act of provocation, Varric countered. Humans have no treaties with the Zolaran Empire that would permit military vessels in this region. Captain Rice smiled slightly. That's precisely why we're here, High Commander Varric, to establish such a treaty. Varric felt his blood cool in his veins. The audacity of this primitive species was beyond comprehension. You presume much, human. The Zolaran Empire does not negotiate with lesser species, especially not those who approach with weapons. With respect, Commander, Rice replied, her tone remaining even. In our experience, advanced civilizations tend to dismiss those who cannot defend themselves. We merely wish to ensure your full attention. Varric signaled to his tactical officer, who understood immediately. Within moments, 6 Zolaran vessels emerged from hyperspace, surrounding the lone human ship. It was a standard intimidation tactic. Show overwhelming force, and diplomatic discussions suddenly became much simpler. You have our attention, Varric said coldly. Though I question the wisdom of approaching an empire with 1,000 worlds with a single vessel, no matter how unexpected its existence might be. Captain Rice's expression didn't change as she glanced at something off-screen. I appreciate the welcoming committee, High Commander. However, I should clarify something. The view screen suddenly split to show multiple sections of space around the Zolaran fleet. One by one, ripples appeared in the vacuum as 15 more human vessels decloaked, each similar in design to the horizon, positioned strategically around the Zolaran ships. We didn't come alone, Rice finished. Varric fought to maintain his composure as his tactical officer frantically reported the new contacts. Cloaking technology. The humans had not only developed interstellar travel, but mastered cloaking technology that had evaded Zolaran sensors. Impossible, he whispered. 200 years is a long time to be left alone, Commander, Rice said. We've been busy. Varric's mind raced through the implications. The official records stated that humans had been deemed non-threatening, their world cataloged but not closely monitored. A routine patrol had passed through their system every decade or so, but no significant advancements had been reported. How had they hidden such progress? What is it you want? Varric finally asked, signaling his fleet to maintain position, but be ready. As I said, we're here to negotiate, Captain Rice replied. Humanity has expanded to 12 star systems in the past century. We've established colonies, mining operations, and research facilities, all without encroaching on any claimed territories. But our latest surveys indicate that our expansion path will eventually reach Zolaran-controlled space. Rather than risk misunderstandings, we thought direct communication would be best. Varric struggled to process what he was hearing. Humans had colonized multiple star systems without the Empire's knowledge. It was a failure of intelligence so massive that heads would literally roll when the Emperor learned of it. You claim to have expanded to 12 systems, yet our patrols have seen no evidence of this, Varric challenged. Your patrols follow predictable patterns and only visit our home system, Rice explained. We expanded in other directions first, deliberately avoiding detection while we established ourselves. It seemed prudent, given the Empire's reputation with developing species. The implied criticism wasn't lost on Varric. The Empire had been known to subjugate or exploit less advanced civilizations, incorporating their resources while restricting their development to manageable levels. And now you reveal yourselves with warships at our border, Varric noted. Some might call that an aggressive introduction. We call it negotiating from a position of mutual respect, Rice countered. History has taught us that appearing weak invites exploitation. We prefer to start our relationship with clarity about our capabilities. Varric considered the human's words. There was wisdom in them, much as he hated to admit it. The Empire respected strength above all else. Had the humans appeared in a single unarmed vessel, they would have been dismissed or worse. I am not authorized to establish treaties with new species, Varric finally said. but I can arrange for representatives to meet with our diplomatic corps. That would be acceptable, Rice nodded, though we would request neutral territory for such discussions. Before Varric could respond, Lieutenant Nexus interrupted urgently. High Commander, we're detecting multiple energy signatures entering the system. They appear to be Krillian vessels. Varric frowned. The Krillians have no business here. They signed the surrender treaty last cycle. Sir, Nexus continued, her voice tense. They're charging weapons. The strategic situation had just become infinitely more complex. The Krillians shouldn't have had any military capacity left after their defeat. Had they been hiding forces? And why would they choose now to emerge, when a Zolaran fleet was clearly present? Varric turned back to the view screen where Captain Rice waited patiently. Her expression revealed nothing, but he couldn't help wondering if the timing of this human diplomatic mission and the Krillian appearance was purely coincidental. It seems we have a situation developing, Captain, Varric said carefully. Perhaps you and your fleet would prefer to withdraw while we address this internal matter. Actually, Commander, Rice replied, I believe this situation directly relates to our discussions about humanity's place in this region. With your permission, we'd like to remain. The first Krillian shots streaked across space toward the Zolaran ships, confirming that this was no diplomatic misunderstanding. As his crew scrambled to battle stations, Varric realized he was facing something unprecedented in his 5 centuries of service, a complete restructuring of the power dynamics he had taken for granted. The humans had arrived at his doorstep with technology that should have been centuries beyond their reach. The supposedly defeated Krillians were launching an attack in what should have been secure Imperial space. And in the midst of it all, Varric had to decide whether these humans were potential allies or whether they had orchestrated this entire situation to the Empire's disadvantage. As energy shields flared to life around his vessels, Varric met Captain Rice's steady gaze. It seems the galaxy has become a much more interesting place, Captain. It always was, Commander, she replied with that same slight smile. You just weren't paying attention to the right parts of it. The human advantage. The space around the Eternal Dawn erupted into chaos as the Krillian vessels opened fire. Energy beams sliced through the vacuum, colliding with Zolaran shields in brilliant flashes of light. High Commander Varric barked orders as his fleet moved into defensive formations, their training taking over despite the shock of the sudden attack. Primary batteries. Target the lead Krillian vessel, Varric commanded. Squadrons 2 and 3, defensive perimeter. Keep those humans in your sights as well. The Zolaran warships responded with precision, their massive cannons charging as they prepared to demonstrate why the Empire had remained unchallenged for centuries. Yet Varric couldn't shake the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong about this scenario. The Krillians had been thoroughly defeated just 1 cycle ago, their military dismantled, their leadership replaced with Empire loyalists. This attack wasn't just surprising, it was impossible. Status report on the human vessels, Varric demanded, his secondary eyes still fixed on Captain Rice's image on the view screen. They're maintaining position, sir, Lieutenant Nexus replied. No aggressive movements detected, but their shields are active. On the screen, Captain Rice appeared remarkably calm for someone caught in the crossfire of an interstellar battle. Commander Varric, with your permission, we'd like to assist with the Krillian situation. Varric's membrane fluttered in disbelief. You expect me to believe you're not coordinating with them? This attack coincides perfectly with your arrival. If we were allies with the Krillians, Rice pointed out reasonably, why would I still be talking to you instead of attacking while you're distracted? Before Varric could respond, the tactical officer called out, direct hit on the Vigilance. Their port shields are failing. One of the Zolaran destroyers was listing to one side, plasma venting from a rupture in its hull. The Krillians had somehow developed weapons capable of penetrating Zolaran shields, technology they definitely hadn't possessed before their surrender. Impossible, Varric muttered, then made a quick decision. Captain Rice, if you wish to demonstrate good faith, now would be the time. Rice nodded once and turned to issue orders to someone off-screen. Within moments, the human vessels broke formation, their engines flaring bright as they accelerated toward the Krillian attackers. What happened next left every Zolaran on the bridge speechless. The human ships moved with an agility that defied their size, weaving through the battlefield with precision that suggested either incredibly advanced automation or pilots with reflexes beyond anything Varric had witnessed. Their weapons systems came online, but instead of conventional energy weapons, they emitted precisely targeted pulses that seemed to disrupt the Krillian ship's systems without destroying them. "What kind of weapons are those?" Varric demanded, watching as a Krillian cruiser's engine shut down after being hit by one of the pulses. "Unknown, sir," the tactical officer replied, her voice betraying rare awe. "They appear to be some form of targeted electromagnetic disruption, but far more sophisticated than anything in our arsenal." On the main view screen, Captain Rice's ship, the Horizon, engaged directly with the Krillian flagship, dancing around its more powerful but slower weapons. 3 precisely placed shots later, the Krillian vessel hung dead in space, its systems apparently offline. In less than 10 minutes, the entire Krillian attack force had been neutralized without a single vessel being destroyed. The human fleet resumed their previous positions, as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. "Your assistance is acknowledged," Varric said carefully when Reyes's face reappeared on his screen. The words nearly choked him. The Zolaran Empire did not require assistance, especially not from species they had classified as primitive just days earlier. "Happy to help, Commander," Rice replied with that same measured confidence. "Though I imagine you have questions." Questions was an understatement. Varric had just witnessed technology that, by all rights, should not exist outside of theoretical research labs. The Empire prided itself on maintaining technological superiority over all other species, yet these humans had clearly surpassed them in several key areas. "I believe," Varric said slowly, choosing his words with care, "that our discussion of treaties has become considerably more urgent. However, first I must address the Krillian situation. We need to determine how they acquired such advanced weaponry." Captain Rice's expression shifted subtly. "Actually, Commander, that's precisely why we're here. The Krillians didn't develop those weapons independently. They were provided by a third party, the same third party that's been manipulating conflicts throughout this sector for decades." Varric's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed this information. "You're suggesting someone has been deliberately destabilizing the region. To what end?" "Perhaps we should discuss this more privately," Rice suggested. "The information we've gathered is sensitive. Would you be willing to come aboard the Horizon with a small delegation? Or I can bring a team to your vessel if you prefer." Under normal circumstances, Varric would never have considered boarding an alien vessel, especially one that had just demonstrated such advanced capabilities. But these were far from normal circumstances. The appearance of humans with impossible technology, followed by Krillians with equally impossible weapons, suggested a situation far more complex than a simple border dispute. "I will come to your vessel," Varric decided, surprising his officers. "Prepare a shuttle." 30 minutes later, Varric found himself walking through the corridors of the Horizon, accompanied by Lieutenant Nexus and his chief security officer. The ship's interior was remarkably different from Zolaran vessels, less ornate, more functional, with a clean efficiency that reflected its external design. The crew they passed were disciplined but diverse, representing multiple human phenotypes according to the Empire's limited records. They were led to a conference room where Captain Rice waited with 3 officers. The room featured a large holographic display in the center, currently showing a 3-dimensional map of the sector. "Thank you for coming aboard, Commander," Rice said, gesturing to the seats. "I believe what we're about to share will change your understanding of the past 2 centuries." With a gesture, Rice activated the holographic display, which zoomed in on a region of space beyond the edge of explored territory. "Approximately 190 years ago, shortly after your Empire's first and only official contact with Earth, Our deep space monitoring stations detected an anomalous signal from this region. Rise began. At the time, we lacked the technology to investigate further, but we recorded everything we could. The display shifted to show waveform patterns that Varric didn't recognize. For decades, we studied these signals, eventually determining they weren't natural phenomena, but communications, highly encrypted, using methods beyond our comprehension at the time. Raids continued, advancing the display to show a timeline of events. As we developed our technology, we began to notice correlations between these signal patterns and conflicts throughout the sector, including several involving the Zolaran Empire. Varric's membrane twitched in surprise. You're suggesting someone has been orchestrating conflicts, including our war with the Krillians. Not suggesting, Commander. We've confirmed it. Rise nodded to one of her officers, who activated another display showing what appeared to be intercepted communications. These are decrypted transmissions between Krillian rebel factions and their benefactors. They've been supplied with advanced weapons specifically to provoke conflict with your empire. Varric studied the data, his tactical mind quickly grasping the implications. If this is accurate, many of our recent military engagements may have been manipulated. But why? And by whom? Reyes's expression grew more serious. We call them the architects. We don't know their true name or origin, but their strategy is clear. They manipulate developing civilizations into conflict, then harvest the resulting technological advancements from the debris and survivors. They'd been doing it throughout this sector for centuries, possibly longer. The display changed again, showing a star map with dozens of points highlighted. Each of these markers represents a civilization that experienced rapid technological development, followed by devastating conflict that ultimately led to their collapse or severe regression, explained one of the human officers. The pattern repeats across hundreds of worlds. Varric felt a chill through his scales. And humanity, how did you avoid this fate? We almost didn't, Rise admitted. After your empire's ships visited Earth and determined we weren't worth further attention, the architects made contact, offering advanced technology in exchange for resources. They presented themselves as benevolent teachers, opposing the imperial oppressors they claimed would return to subjugate us. She paused, her expression hardening. Fortunately, our leaders were suspicious of such generosity. Instead of accepting their gifts, we established a secret program to monitor their communications and study their technology from a distance. We deliberately maintained the appearance of a slowly developing civilization while actually advancing rapidly in controlled environments off-world. Your deception was remarkably effective. Varric acknowledged, struggling with the realization that the Empire's intelligence had been so thoroughly fooled. But why reveal yourselves now? Because the architects have escalated their timeline, Rice said grimly. The attack today was just the beginning. They've been supplying advanced weapons to multiple species throughout the sector, all designed to draw your empire into a multi-front war that would leave you vulnerable. Varric's military mind immediately calculated the implications. A coordinated attack from multiple directions could stretch the Empire's forces beyond their capacity to respond effectively. Even with superior technology and numbers, they could be overwhelmed through sheer attrition. And humanity, what is your interest in this conflict? Varric asked, still not entirely convinced of their benevolence. Self-preservation. Primarily, Rise answered honestly. The architect's pattern is clear. They create chaos, then move in to pick up the pieces. If the Zolaran Empire falls, the resulting power vacuum would destabilize the entire sector. As we expand, that instability would eventually reach our territories. She leaned forward, her eyes meeting Varric's directly. But there's more. We've tracked the architects' communications to their source. We believe we've located their base of operations, beyond Empire space, but within reach of our combined forces. The holographic display shifted again, showing a distant star system with unusual energy readings around the fourth planet. This is your proposal then, Varric concluded. An alliance against these architects. A temporary alliance at minimum. Rice nodded. Though I'm authorized to discuss more permanent arrangements if our cooperation proves fruitful. Varric considered the situation carefully. Everything he knew about the Empire's place in the galaxy had been challenged in the span of a few hours. Humans, supposedly primitive, had not only developed advanced technology, but had managed to detect and counter a threat the Empire hadn't even been aware of. The strategic implications were enormous. I must consult with the Imperial Council, Varric finally said, but I believe they will see the logic in cooperation, at least until this common threat is addressed. Of course, Rice agreed. We've prepared a complete data package for your analysts. Everything we know about the architects, their technologies, communication patterns, and strategic tendencies. As they prepared to conclude the meeting, Varric found himself with one lingering question. Captain Rice, there's something I still don't understand. Even accounting for your secret development program, humans have advanced at an unprecedented rate. How did you manage such progress in less than 2 centuries? Rice smiled, but there was a weariness behind it that Varric recognized, the weight of command and difficult decisions. Necessity, Commander. When we realized what we were facing, we united our planet in a way we never had before. Every resource, every brilliant mind, focused on a single goal: survival. It's remarkable what a species can accomplish when they set aside their differences and work together. She paused, then added, and perhaps we had one advantage the architects and the Empire both overlooked. Which was? Varric inquired. We were underestimated, Rice said simply. There's no greater motivation than being told what you cannot achieve. As Varric returned to his ship, he carried with him not just data about a new threat, but a profound realization about the nature of the galaxy. For centuries, the Zolaran Empire had categorized species as either threats or non-entities, with little consideration for potential. They had dismissed humans as primitive, never imagining they might one day stand as equals, or even superiors in some respects. In the weeks that followed, as the alliance between humans and Zolarans formalized and plans were made to confront the architects, rumors spread throughout the Empire. Stories of human ingenuity and their remarkable technological achievements became topics of fascination. Some spoke with fear of these newcomers, while others saw opportunity in cooperation. What none could deny was that the galaxy had fundamentally changed. The appearance of a human warship at the Empire's doorstep had marked the beginning of a new era, one where humanity would no longer be ignored or underestimated. As for High Commander Varric, he found himself frequently remembering Captain Rice's words about the power of being underestimated. The Empire had grown complacent in its dominance, assuming its intelligence about other species was comprehensive and accurate. That assumption had nearly led them to disaster. The lesson was clear. In the vastness of space, arrogance was perhaps the greatest vulnerability of all. And humans, it seemed, had mastered the art of turning others' arrogance to their advantage.